Cameron, so much for having me over. I really appreciate it. Without hosts like you, I'd have no business in the kitchen. So I have a little gift for you tonight. You know, this is just the beginning of the things that you're going to get free as a host with the Pampered Chef, and it's just my way of telling you thank you for having me over. On the inside, you'll find all of my contact information, and my hope is that you'll put this where you put your cookbooks, and then I will be your Pampered Chef consultant for life. And I really am here just to pamper you tonight. So what's the number one thing on your wish list?
That new rock bar.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. We're going to talk about it just a little bit tonight, but I really just want you to accept this gift from me. So there you are. Thank you so much. For those of you that I haven't met before, my name is Deb. I'll tell you just a tiny bit about me. I've been with the Pampered Chef for almost 17 years. It's really hard to imagine, isn't it? And I'm very privileged to be a part of one of the fastest growing teams in central Iowa. And in fact, we're growing so fast that we can't keep up with the demand, and we're looking for consultants to join our team all the time. So watch what I do tonight, because even if it's not for you, you might know someone who's looking for a way to add an extra 500, 1,000, 1,500, or 2,000, or even career money to their budget every single month. And with Pampered Chef, all of those are possible. We're going to make a really yummy recipe called chicken bruschetta pasta tonight, and it uses two of my absolute favorite products. These are my power tools in the kitchen. It uses the deep cover baker and the grill pan and press. Now, how many of you have power tools in your kitchen, or power tools in your garage, right? Okay. I do too, but how often do your power tools get used? Never. Not very often, right? Well, the thing I told my husband a long time ago is don't ever give me any grief about buying power tools for my kitchen, because those power tools mean you get dinner. He never has said another word. So we're going to use those two products. I'll show you a couple of new things. We'll do a couple of prize drawings, and then we'll be finished. Sound okay?
Yes. All
right, wonderful. Let's go ahead and get started. And to get started with our recipe tonight, we need to prepare our chicken first, because it's going to go in the grill pan. Now let me tell you, before I get my grill pan going, a little bit about it. Do any of you own the grill pan and press? Ooh, absolutely. Wonderful. Drea, what's the last thing that you made in your grill pan?
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers? Awesome.
Yes.
I love that. How about you, Hannah? What was the last thing that you made?
Glazed chicken.
Ooh, she's getting all fancy on us. Awesome. Well, I love the grill pan because there isn't a night of the week when I can't get, between these two products, there's not a night of the week when I can't get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. And for $2 or less per serving. I don't know about you, but that is my idea of a happy meal. So the grill pan, let me tell you just a tiny bit about it. It is non-stick on the inside and on the outside edge, so super, super easy to clean. Has the raised ridges, so you get those flavors of grilling without having to go outside to do it. Now, you might be thinking, but it's perfect summer weather. I want to go outside, unless it's 100 degrees. Or in the middle of winter when the wind is blowing in Iowa. So I love the grill pan because I can use it morning, noon, and night. I use it in the morning for things like ham and turkey bacon and sausage. It also is wonderful for making breakfast quesadillas. My youngest son is 13 and his friends come over. They have a rotating schedule and they come over about once a month and they game for all night long, and then they finally fall asleep, so they tell me. And then the next morning I make them breakfast quesadillas, and it's kind of a tradition. They think they were really good. All it is eggs and some ham in between two tortillas and some cheese. No big thing. But hey, it looks like a grilled quesadilla, and they love it. At lunchtime, I love to use this. It's my secret weapon for using up leftovers. My children are picky eaters. I don't know how that happened. I've been doing this forever. They've been exposed to every food you can possibly imagine, but still they're a little on the selective side. So I use this to use up my leftovers. They particularly don't like leftover meat, so whatever beef, chicken, pork we had the night before, the next day will get sliced really, really thin, tucked in between two slices of yummy sourdough bread with some cheese and some vegetables, and suddenly it becomes a panini. Now, if I told the kids we were having grilled ham and cheese sandwiches for lunch, they'd be like, boring. But if I tell them we're having grilled ham and cheese paninis with some tomato basil soup, they're like, oh, that sounds awesome. It's all about how you sell it to teenagers. I mean, really. So whatever meat we've had, it can also be turned into a quesadilla. So I would just take a tortilla, spread some refried beans, slice that meat really thin, put it on the inside, add some cheese, jalapenos, whatever, another tortilla on top. And what I love about the pan is that when I use my kitchen spritzer, which I forgot to bring with me tonight, I can spritz the bread or the tortilla just a little bit with a little bit of olive oil, and then it gets nice and crispy and brown on each side. Now when you go out to eat and you get a quesadilla or a panini, they basically drown each side of that food in some type of oily mixture, and that's how they get all the, that nice crunchy, crispy outside that you like so much. But because this is non-stick, you can get those results and cut the calories way, way down. Another thing that I use it for at lunchtime is hot dogs. I came from the world of boiled hot dogs. I swear I would never do that to my children. So on the rare occasion we have a hot dog, it's awesome because you can put it in there and get those grill marks and that grill flavor without having to step outside. Where this piece really, where I use it the most is at dinner time. And in the evening, there's a night of the week when I can't get 4 hamburgers, 4 steaks, 4 pork chops, 4 chicken breasts, 4 pieces of salmon. I can get all of those things done in 15 minutes or less. And so the secret to the pan is that you want to heat up the pan and the press together for 5 full minutes. Now the press is really, you could do your weightlifting, it's heavy. It's cast iron, it has a nice tall handle so that you don't burn your hands when you get ready to take it off. But what this does is it equalizes the heat. It holds everything close to the the grids on here, so you get those grill marks and that grill flavor that you like. But again, you don't have to step outside, and it also makes sure that everything gets done evenly. Even the middle of your chicken is done at the same time as the outside edge without the outside edge being overdone. So let me show you we're going to get this ready to go. I'm just going to heat it on about medium to medium high, and we're going to heat it for 5 full minutes. So I will use my favorite, if any of you have toddlers, this is fabulous for timeout. So my kids knew when the bell went off that it was time to come and see mom and figure out what they had done wrong. So, all right, our chicken, I want to show you really quickly how to make one flip chicken. And do any of you worry about your chicken being overdone or underdone?
Yes.
Constantly, and you're sticking a thermometer in it, and you're like, oh, is it there, is it not? And have you ever noticed when you go to a restaurant how juicy and moist the chicken breasts are? And don't you ever think to yourself, oh my gosh, why can't I do that at home? Well, there's 2 reasons chicken breasts are juicy when you go out to eat. First of all, they generally brine all their chicken in a restaurant, which means that they soak it in a mixture of salt, sugar, and water. The sugar adds extra calories, the salt adds extra sodium. To me, it all just sounds like extras I don't need. The second reason is that they even things out. If you take a big chicken breast like this and you stick it on the grill and it's really thick on one side and really thin on the other, what happens?
The thin probably will cook faster.
This part will be done before this part's even close, and by the time that this part's done, this part's usually not edible. So at a restaurant, if you'll ever notice when the chicken comes and it's on your plate, it's pretty much even all the way across. That's what we're going to do tonight, and what that does is it just makes sure that every single bit of your chicken is edible, and none of it gets overdone. So in the bag, I just had about a tablespoon of olive oil and a few teaspoons of our garlic and herb seasoning. If you've never used any of our rubs or our seasonings, they're phenomenal. I love them because none of them contain MSG, most don't contain salt, and most don't contain sugar. So the ingredients that are on there is what you're getting. And I just love them because the rubs are, to me, they're like marinating without taking the time because they're really highly concentrated in flavor. So garlic and herb is one of my favorites, and I think there's about 20 to choose from. Now what we're going to do is just use our meat tenderizer to get our chicken going and get it flattened a little bit. Now we're not looking to make it completely pancake thin flat, we really just want to even it all out. So I'm just going to concentrate on the thick end and just flatten it out a little bit here. There we go. Now if you're ever home by yourself and you have one of these, this is a great home defense weapon. It's super duper heavy. You just put it by the bed, and if somebody comes in, you just throw it at them. Now, what's nice about this, and seriously, as long as you don't miss, they're going to stop. Completely flat on one side, great for chicken and pork. The other side has a little prong, so it's great for beef. And to switch it, you just unscrew it and flip it around. And because it's stainless steel, you're going to have it forever. So,
Is it dishwasher safe?
it is dishwasher safe. Good question. But since I usually do my chicken or pork or beef or whatever in a baggie like this, generally it just needs to be wiped off. It doesn't need to, it doesn't get dirty. So, all right, so our chicken's ready to roll and our pan has just a couple minutes more, we're going to go ahead and get our pasta in the microwave. And I'm going to, after it's in the microwave, I'm going to tell you about the deep cover baker, but I want to show it to you now so you have a picture in your head of what we're talking about. The deep cover baker is, I can't say enough good things about it. How many of you work full time? Okay, so do you ever come home and you do what I call the dinner dance? Where you open up the refrigerator, you stand in there and you put your head in and you're like, what in the world am I going to feed these people tonight? And then you're back and forth, what am I going to feed them, what am I going to feed them? Close the door and pick up for takeout. It happens all the time. Did you know the average American family spends $10,000 a year on eating out? 10,000! That's a ton. You could buy it, you save up, not eat out for 2 years, save up that money, you could buy a car for cash. So I love the deep cover baker because, again, there is a night of the week when I can't get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less, and these two really pair well together. So it's our glazed clay on the outside so that it stays pretty, unglazed on the inside, so you get all of those baking properties that you're used to with stoneware. Meaning, how many of you have stoneware? Okay, wonderful. Well, you know, when you bake with stoneware, if it's supposed to get brown and crispy on the bottom, it does because of the way that this handles moisture. So things like bread, if you did an artisan bread in here, the crust is just completely, beautifully golden brown all the way across because of the way that stoneware bakes. So it does a great job in the oven for all the things that you would imagine. Stews, chilies, casseroles, all of those kind of things. When I do roast, I do potatoes and carrots and onions down on the bottom, my roast on the top. I season it and then add in 2 cans of Campbell's beef consommé and 1 can of red wine. The red wine helps break down the muscle structure of the meat, but it also adds a really hearty roasted or hearty flavor to the gravy or the drippings that you'll use for gravy later. So hold that thought for 1 second because my pan is hot and ready to go. And we're just going to put our chicken in and we'll come back to our pasta. The tongs that I'm using, these are our chef's tongs. Excuse me. And what I like about them is that they are stainless steel, so you get all the durability, but they are silicone on the ends so that you don't have to worry about them scratching and non-stick. So this is what I mean when I say no flip chicken. We're not going to do a single thing to that chicken until it's time to flip it over. You know, I finally figured out why my husband is so good at grilling, because when he grills, he takes the platter of meat, the barbecue tool, up here, he goes outside, and he stands there and he babysits it, right? Does that sound familiar? Mm-hmm. When I grill, I go out, I start the grill, I come back in, I get the food, I go out, I put it on, I come back in, I do a few things, I go out, oh my god, it's on fire, I come back in, I get the water. It's like, it's completely crazy. So now I know why I love my grill pan so much, because I'm not good at grilling outside. So we're just going to let that go.
So when you heat that up, do you add oil or anything to it?
No, and in fact, you don't want to oil your pan. You always want to oil your food. If you oil the pan's going to smoke, and that's a bad thing. And then your house is going to smell to high heaven. But if you oil the food and just use a little bit of oil, if you're watching calories, honestly, pretend we're not at my house tonight, but use the kitchen spritzer, because this is our new and improved kitchen spritzer, and what I love about it is that you can spritz the meat and then put the rub on and use a whole lot less oil and save a ton of calories by doing that. And again, oil the food, not the meat. Okay, so back to our roast. I use this the same way that most of you use a crock pot. Who uses a crock pot here? And we love it, right? Because we can dump everything in, let it go all day. But crock pots have a couple of downfalls. One of them is that they dilute the flavors of your food because of the way that they handle moisture. When you take the lid off of your crock pot, what's all over the lid?
Water.
Because as food cooks, it releases moisture in the form of steam. The steam condenses, drips back down in. It condenses on the lid. That dilutes the flavors of your food, but it also prevents you from getting a hearty roasted flavor from anything you put in there. You can get a decent roast out of a crock pot, but it's not really a roasted roast, it's more of a boiled roast. When you use the deep cover baker, you get those hearty roasted flavors because it handles steam differently. Food still releases moisture in the form of steam, but when the steam hits the lid, it doesn't condense and drip back down in because it's made of stoneware. It stays in the form of steam, and that does a couple things for you. It helps cook your food and make it more tender, moist, and juicy, and it also doesn't dilute the flavors of your food. So my roast, when it comes out, has a really nice, hearty, a nice crust on the outside of it. The flavors are roasted rather than boiled, and I can literally stick a